Today I'm going to show the shoulder horizontal abduction test. It is one of the main PRI tests in the Postural Restoration seminar, and it is for the shoulder. And it's one of my favorite tests because it actually tells you a lot. Most people, and in the beginning most people, including myself, think that this shoulder horizontal abduction test is a test to show whether a pec is tight. Now it can be under some circumstances, but what it usually is a test that will show you how well you can get to the left. Remember, in the left AIC, right BC pattern, our center of mass, here's the right side, here's the left side, our center of mass is over to the right. So when we're lying down on a table, we think we're straight, but we're really oriented to the right. And we are reflecting, at rest, overactive right muscle activity. So what that means, with the shoulder horizontal abduction test, what you'll generally find is a right arm that can abduct, horizontally abduct, further than the left arm. That is because you are stuck on the right side. When the sternum, here's the sternum, if your spine and pelvis, so the pelvis and spine, are oriented to the right, and then you are doing some counter rotation back to the left, but the sternum is still oriented to the right with the spine, that will permit more shoulder horizontal abduction because it's already going to the right. Now here on the left side, it'll be limited because the sternum is already facing to the right. It limits how far that pec can stretch, in a sense. You are already at its end range because the sternum is oriented to the right, so you can't go as far back. Now, so again, you'll be limited to the left compared to the right. That's the norm. Sometimes you'll be limited on both sides, but usually it'll still be the left side is a little bit more limited. So someone who is who is a PEC or a bilateral BC, so they're arched on both sides, they're coming forward on both sides, they might be limited on both. Okay, now, but what it really is showing is, when you look at rib cage mechanics, when you're on your right leg, the right ribs are internally rotated, so there's not a whole lot of air on the right side. And that's why in the right BC pattern, we're always trying to open up the ribs on the right, which will push us over to the left. So this test is really showing how much air you have in your rib cage and where. If you are limited to the left and you have more to the right, it means that you have more air over on this left side. It means you are in right stance. You are in the left AIC, right BC pattern. These right ribs are internally rotated. These left ribs are externally rotated. You have more space on this left side for air to go in because the air is always going to take the path of least resistance. So as you inhale, it's just going to keep going into the left side, and that keeps you, if you have too much air on the left side, you can't get over to the left. It orients your spine to the right. The air is in the way. It's causing resistance. So remember, everything in PRI comes back to that left ZOA, left ZOA, left ZOA. You have to get the left ZOA, the left diaphragm, the pelvis, AFIR. You have to get the pelvis back on the left and the left ribs to come down through exhalation to open up the right side, and at that point your body can shift over to the left. When you have that, the left arm will no longer be limited in horizontal abduction because your sternum will now be either center or slightly to the left. That's how you change it. So once you go, if you go from less than 30 degrees to way more than 30 degrees, and the change can be quite dramatic. I worked with someone over the weekend, they actually started laughing because it changed so much. That's when you know you can actually get to the left side. If you do not have horizontal abduction of more than 30 degrees, you're still oriented to the right. That's why it's such an important test. Again, I always thought it was just a pec test, like to see how tight your left pec was, but it is sometimes, but it's usually more of a test to see whether you can actually get your upper body to the left, not just the pelvis. The pelvis and the rib cage, which means you have a left ZOA, and that will permit the left arm to horizontally abduct. And that's why it's such a great test, and it's good because you can do it by yourself. You don't need someone to hold you down. You just want to make sure that when you bring your arm down, that you're not rolling off the bed or the testing surface. But again, if you're past 30 degrees, you are good chance that you have that left ZOA and your rib cage is neutral and you can get to the left. Because remember, in postural restoration, we are trying to reestablish your ability to shift into the left side of your body appropriately and stay there when it needs to. So that's another important point. Just because you get it doesn't mean you're going to hold it when you go back to normal life. That's why there's a progression of exercises that challenge your ability to stay on the left as the demands upon your body increase. Because a lot of times people will they'll get that left stance, they'll get that left horizontal abduction to increase to over 30 degrees. But it doesn't mean they can hold on to it when they're walking around, when their stress levels increase, when they're playing sports. They might go right back into their pattern, and that's what can get frustrating when people lose that neutrality. When the demands upon their life increase and the stress increases and the breathing rates increase, can you hold on to it, onto that neutrality and that left side stance when you need to be on the left side? Or do you fall back to the right? And that is the trick of postural restoration. It's not only getting to the left, it's then can you hold on to it appropriately and be able to alternate between left and right without ever getting stuck back on the right side. So horizontal abduction test, you're going to see it right after this. And remember, if you can get past 30 degrees on both sides, you're probably neutral. Most people in general will be limited on the left compared to the right.